Hello and welcome to the Crafty Pint podcast. I'm Will.
I'm James, and Will, it feels like we're spending almost all of our time on screen at the minute.
Yes.
So we got back from holidays, and we did our podcast last week, and then several hours in the studio on Saturday, which have saved a lot of fun. It feels a little bit of a come down to be back in our own slightly reworked studio today.
Yeah, so the Gabs Hottest 100 countdown. Thanks for everyone who joined us. You never know with something like that if you're going to sort of start streaming and your mother might tune in or something like that. But it was really active chat all day. It seemed like a lot of people were watching. So it was just a really great experience as well.
Yeah, no, we've had a lot of great feedback from people who watched it and sort of checked in occasionally. I think it was on the big screen, had a few pubs and breweries and stuff around the country. So yeah, thanks. It was fun to be involved in, and I think we were quite lucky in a way that I guess there's always interesting things to pull from these polls each year, no matter what the top level might look like. And again, you could look at this and go, oh, there's a lot of beers at the same, but luckily for us, we sort of stepped in to do this in, I think, what was the most interesting poll in years in terms of, newcomers and just it felt like a little bit of a realignment.
Yeah, definitely. Pretty new top 10. Like, it was really fun to watch that unfold when there were some beers that had been in the top 10 for a long time suddenly come in at sort of 13, 14. You start going, oh, this looks quite different.
We should have gone with your idea of shooting the top 10 cans off the stage.
I'm going to bring like a potato gun or something next year and shoot it at the...
Yeah, but I think, like as we mentioned before, the likes of, Curly Lewis and Seeker and One Drop, a number of smaller breweries or sort of more slightly quirkier beers doing really well. We don't need to relitigate that. I think if you didn't watch the show, I think it's worth watching it again if you've got a bit of spare time. I think it's not just a countdown. We joined it when we were up to number 31. It's not just a countdown of the beers. It's much more of a wider discussion around the industry as it is. A lot of sort of pre-records and live crosses to people chatting about trends and who's done well and various stories from the industry. So you can find that on our YouTube channel, the Crafty Pint Podcast. There is an audio only version coming to other platforms soon, but I think
watch the video.
Not least because of the studio ended up in. We'd booked a different studio with these guys in Brunswick, and then at the last minute, for some of the technical stuff they wanted, they were like, "Oh, we'll move you to a different studio." And we walked in the day before into this big live sort of stage where they host live events with crowds of up to 100. So maybe that's the plan for future years.
Yes. So that's and thanks to Stupid Old Studios and Matt, our editor as well, for running everything on the day. It's there was a lot of work going on behind the scenes that made it feel very seamless as a host. Particularly, I've personally never done anything like that at all in my life, and was amazed it could work out.
Well, the ultimate compliment, my wife texted me and going, Will's much better than I thought he'd be.
That's good. I have my doubts too.
Aside from that would have been the biggest news, the most read news I guess we've published over the last week. But another story that broke actually just on the day that we put out last week's podcast was something that we I think had been sort of bubbling away for a while. Hawker's merger with White Bay, which I guess does feel like more of a merger than some of the other sort of consolidatory moves in the beer industry over the last few years. I guess we're still waiting to see how that might play out now they've formed the Social Drinks Group.
So if you read the article, you'll see pretty obviously that some of the founders of both those businesses will have a less hands-on role. They have a new CEO, Judd. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. They're saying they're going to bring in other non-beer businesses potentially. They're having conversations, so it'll be interesting to see how large it becomes. We'll have several other breweries, one or two. It's really interesting. It's hard to know how these things unfold. Obviously, a lot of it is due to market conditions, and they're very open about that this is the reality, and it's so tough right now for production independent breweries, for all range of reasons that we've been covering over some years now.
Well, both of those, I mean, Hawkers were producing a lot more beer than White Bay, but they're both, like, Hawkers no retail really, like just that cellar door effectively. In Reservoir, White Bay's got their venue, but, much more skewed into production, into wholesale. And, while they're at different levels, they're still in that sort of space that's been really hard hit. But yeah, I mean, you referenced Kaneki,
Yeah,
sort of
well,
collective in
sort
America.
of talking about it, I mean, there have been a lot of or some of these mergers in America. Kaneki was one of the big ones. That's been bought by Monster Energy Drinks, Craft Brew Alliance, which is now part of ABI, which they sort of seem to buy basically for Kona, for a beer by Kona that does really well. So you've got to kind of wonder how if they bring a certain number of brands in there. I always wonder how you keep your brand identity, and when unfortunately how you sort of run a business when founders move on as well or are less involved. I think that's something the industry hasn't really got an answer to. Like the most successful breweries and often the most successful pubs are owner operated. And once someone can't do that anymore, I'm not really sure what the solution is. You can sell it if it's a certain size to a new owner who might run it just as well, but for that larger scale as well, I just think it's really tricky.
Yeah. Well, lucky for us, we've got Mazen from Hawkers on as our guest next week, so I'm sure he'll be able to tell us a lot more about the plans and the way they see it working. So look forward to that. Should be a pretty fascinating chat with what they've been the 10 years of Hawkers as well. I guess something else we've written about this week, another sort of global traveller, like Mazen obviously had his first brewery in Lebanon, then came over here. We've got Nick Galton Fenzi, pretty interesting character. We featured on Aussie Exports. First came to prominence in the WA beer scene when he launched Beaten Track Brewery way back in 2010.
In Kalgoorlie, which is Kalgoorlie, which is in the middle of nowhere, really. It's a mining town.
Mining town, famed for the classic Peep Temple track. Since 2017 when he sold the business, he's basically been sort of cropping up all over the world, either in WA or in the Caribbean or in Europe or in the States.
Christmas Island is a pretty interesting place to brew beer.
Yeah.
Cocos Islands as well.
Yes, I think Nick would make for a really fascinating future podcast guest.
Yeah, if we can get him to stay in one spot for long enough.
Or we could go and chase him around the world and, if we just get a bit more sponsorship in, go and join him in the Caribbean for a couple of weeks potentially. Closer to home, we've had a really great response to our Have You Done a Rallings campaign. So I guess celebrating good beer citizens, people who've done some pretty cool things in the local beer industry.
Yeah, so make sure you get your nominations in because we'll have the first ones of those out in the world and tell those stories.
Yeah, we'll be announcing the first, standout stories, the first winners. Just so anybody who goes above and beyond to help their fellow brewers or to celebrate local beer or whatever it might be.
Wherever someone happens to be in the beer industry, sort of beer citizens.
Good beer citizens, yes. But within Australia.
Yes.
So if you want to make a nomination, jump online at craftypint.com/rallings, get your nominations in, and we'll announce the first winners soon. Which just leaves this week's main guest, Alex Carr from Noodle Doof.
Yeah, so late last year on the way back from our South Australia trip, we popped in to see Alex at Noodle Doof in Koroit, which is a small town sort of at the end of the Great Ocean Road.
Yeah, you kind of get to the end of the Great Ocean Road and then go a little bit inland. So it's in an area that really had no craft beer, really to speak of before they cropped up.
Yeah, and Alex runs it with Sam, also known as Noodles, which is where the name comes from. So
don't give too much away.
Sam couldn't join us because he was on the way back from a beer festival, but we had a really great chat with Alex just about building a brewery the way they have in a small town. They really do stand out, I think, as a small regional brewery, making very unapologetic beers and spirits for that matter, using native ingredients and working closely with small farmers and sort of hobby farmers as well.
Yeah, local producers, stuff. Foraging. Koroit is named after the original name for Tower Hill, which is this former volcano that's been brought back over the last few decades into this really vibrant sort of native vegetation area. They're bringing back local flora and fauna. Doing pretty cool stuff. And what I love about it as well, which I think has echoes of Sailor's Grove to an extent, despite the fact they are so far from Melbourne or the nearest big city, they've still got the branding, the name, the color schemes. Everything they do is very much what they believe in, and it's not sort of just maybe the easier thing about Koroit Brewing Company or whatever. It's a very sort of non-masculine looking brewery. They do some pretty interesting stuff. The events they do are quite sort of different as well, and I think it's and it's working for them. And it's a pretty there's some pretty good insights and inspirations there, I think, for people either looking to run a regional brewery or looking to find something different when they're out on the road.
Yeah, particularly when your name sounds like you actually run doofs in the sticks, kind of. It's a very cool approach.
Yeah, well, they do have the Duff Dome.
Yeah.
So
As we get into, so we'll get to the chat. Before we do, make sure you like and subscribe, and yeah, enjoy it. Cheers.
Beer, music and food lovers, rejoice because tickets are on sale for the 10th annual High Country Hop Festival in Beechworth. Taste fresh hop harvest beers from Australia's best indie brewers, Bridge Road Brewers, Mountain Culture, Range, Wildflower, Love Shack and Kaiju, plus the High Country's famed local breweries, winemakers, craft distillers and more. See Japanese Good Time Rockers, the 5, 6, 7, 8s, in their only not yet sold out Victorian show, alongside ARIA winner Kait and folk legend Darren Hanlon, with an inspired food lineup headlined by some of Australia's most inventive chefs and iconic Box Wars workshops for kids. It's a family-friendly day out. An unmissable beer, food and music festival for all. Saturday, March 22nd in High Country Beechworth. Tickets on sale now at thehighcountryhop.com.au. Hosted by Bridge Road Brewers.
Alex, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, how you going? Thanks for having me on.
So, well, thanks for having us in semi-sunny Koroit.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a rainy day. The skies have parted for you guys, so, you know.
Well, we did drive through rain for about 2 hours to get here. So I guess first up, question that I guess you'll be asked a lot: where does the name Noodle Doof come from?
Yeah, it was one of those questions that, you know, we kind of had to expect, naming ourselves Noodle Doof. So it's just both of our nicknames, essentially. Sam's Noodles, and I'm Doof. And yeah, that's the name.
And why is he Noodles and why are you Doof?
Okay, so well, Noodles used to play footy. He's got long noodly arms, and Doof is started out as a derogatory nickname for all the silly things that I do, but it ended up being one of those endearing kind of, you know. Yeah. I just roll with it now.
We'd like to see it as endearing anyway.
Yeah, I do, yeah. Otherwise, I'd hate myself, so...
Oh, we actually saw there was a Doofus Street on the way into Koroit as well.
Yeah.
Double F, so more like Duffus.
I did see that when I first moved here.
I'm surprised you didn't look for a property there.
Yeah, no. It's on High Street. I don't know why I'm on that street.
And for the listeners who don't know Koroit, can you tell us a little bit about where we're situated?
Yeah, so Koroit is... if you don't know where we are, we're at the end of the Great Ocean Road. So we're in between Warrnambool and Port Fairy. It's a sort of an Irish settlement. We're on the back of a volcanic crater called Tower Hill or Koroit, which Koroit got its name from. So Koroit just means I think I'm saying that properly. Means volcano in the local language. So yeah.
The nearest place people would know would be Port Fairy's maybe 10, 15 k's away, Warrnambool not too far away.
Yeah, so we're pretty much bang in the middle. So yeah, Warrnambool 15-minute drive, Port Fairy 15-minute drive. So yeah, it's a pretty good spot. We pick up a lot of tourists, you know, that come to the area. It's not too far. We do get that overflow of locals that come from Warrnambool and Port Fairy up to visit us, and we also get, you know, the Koroit locals as well, which is good. So.
And what brought you here? Because you're from SA originally.
Yeah. So Sam, he was a decent footy player. You know, he played for SNFL for Glenelg for a few years there, and then a lot of those, you know, rural teams like to pick up decent players, so they picked him up as a coach and player. And he played for Port Fairy for a fair few years there. So he moved to the area first, and then our wives are cousins. So, yeah, our wives, yeah.
But you're not each other's cousins.
Yeah, no, we're not each other's. Yeah. And anyway, so yeah, we've known each other for years. We used to live in a share house back in Adelaide, back when we were in our early 20s, and did a bit of rudimentary home brewing back then. It was, you know, the old Cooper's kits and some ginger beers and something, nothing any good, that was for sure. So he moved down here, and then I ended up following about 5 years ago. So yeah.
Was it something about the area, or what sort of pulled you?
Yeah, so I mean, we were living in Melbourne at the time. I was working at Holgate Brewery in Woodend, and we were coming down a lot for family events, and then Sam and I just started homebrewing a bit together because he was keen to get into all grain brewing. So we set up a little all grain brew kit in his laundry, and we were just brewing fun beers for family events and stuff like that. And he was sort of picking up a bit of all grain brewing, and then the president at the time of the footy club was, you know, mates with Sam as well, and he was sort of keen to get us or to get us started with a brewery. So he offered to help us get on our feet and gave us a little bit of money to get started, and we just rolled with it.
Yeah, so it's the two families and the
so he's
president of the footy club.
Yeah, well, he's no longer.
Power
He's
of AFL in country towns.
I know, yeah. I'm I don't even watch AFL, so you know, but yeah.
You were a kayaker, so you know.
Yeah. Back in the day, I couldn't do it much anymore with a herniated disc, but you know, that's brewing for you.
Yeah. And so did he help you in terms of like finding the location, or what was this where we're sat now? What was this former?
Yeah, so we were scouting in Port Fairy just because, you know, it's a tourist town. The water quality there is terrible. I don't think anyone in Port Fairy would be offended by that. It's really
maybe the water board.
It's Wannon Water maybe might. But yeah, so this is off the Otways Artisanal Basin, so the water quality is amazing. Which makes it a bit easier. You don't have to have RO and a whole different plant just to process your water. And then, this place just popped up, and I mean, back then it was a fair steal in terms of property value.
And what had it been? Because it looks structurally like the perfect building to put a brew pub inside. You run through your brewery in the back, and a beer garden, and a kitchen, and then a sizable tap room at the front. So it's pretty much perfect.
Yeah, so it was a old mechanics garage. If you look at some of the posts, you can still see the handprints up on the posts there.
And the old signs up on the beams.
Yeah, there's still a few remnants around.
Yeah.
And then I think a cabinet maker was in here after him. It was literally a dusty old shell when we got in here. So a fair bit of work's gone into making it, habitable. Yeah.
And all done yourselves. I mean, you'd have been able to do a bit of the sparky work given your previous career.
Yeah. So
what did Sam bring? Just his long arms to put stuff up high.
He definitely helped with his long arms. he did up a lot of bolts and whatever else in the brewery there. But yeah, just the Brian, our other partner is a builder as well. Okay. So he helped fit the place out. Did the amazing ceilings.
Yeah.
So it was a bit of a team effort. Everyone pitched in, and we got it all ready to roll.
And how would you describe craft beer's penetration of this wider region before you came in?
So I'd say we were in a bit of a dearth down here. There wasn't a lot going on in terms of craft beer, especially probably even craft beer from externally coming into this area was not seen a lot at all when we first started down this way.
And Warrnambool's not a small town.
No,
it's got a
it's
fair population.
It's a reasonable size, and you looked at a lot of the other regional Victorian cities that had already started to adopt, better beer, craft beer, but for some reason I think there's a little bit of conservatism and stuff, and liking to hold on to tradition down this way. But over time, people start to see, you can't deny quality. And I think, if you're going to come and do something different, it has to be of a certain quality. Otherwise, you're not going to get people to get behind it. So we just sort of really thought if we did some solid beer, people couldn't deny it. You still get the odd people, coming in and asking for a, whatever draft, and you give them one of our Hellers or a Southwest Best or something, which is a mid-strength lager, and they can't really deny it. They're like, they have it, and they're like, oh yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
You know, so
you're almost standing over them, looking menacing.
And to be honest, like the people that I actually like is like the people that don't like beer at all, and you give them something, and you be like, oh, what do you normally like? And then, you know, if you can not convert them, but if you can get someone that doesn't like beer to like your beer, you know, you're doing a good job, in my opinion.
And you said it was a conservative area, but you haven't been like conservative with the beers. It feels like you will brew more or less anything. You're not, you know, just keeping it to a tight core range of sort of accessible styles.
Wasn't it even that first summer or the second summer where one of your like fruit sours went off and became the number one beer amongst your locals or something? You were like, okay, we're not expecting this.
I did, I think it was one of our I think it might have been the second summer
Stone Fruit Sour.
Yeah, it was like I can't even remember now. We've done that many different beers, but yeah, it sort of blew me away. So I thought, you know, it might take a long time for people to get behind this stuff, but I think with anything, if you're doing doing it well, people can't deny it. They taste it and they go, oh, I like this, and I guess that's what happens. But
you just got to give them the opportunity to actually have something different.
Yeah, to try something. Okay. Yeah,
it's not that scary after all.
Yeah, well, that's if you can get rid of the fear and make people feel comfortable as well. So, I mean, I feel like what we really try and do is, as a brewery and a venue, is make all types of people comfortable.
Well, even the branding is very like it's not beer. It's not like it's not masculine. It's the complete opposite. The color scheme and everything.
Yeah, and I think maybe sometimes that can probably make super masculine people uncomfortable. But why
are you selling pink t-shirts?
Yeah, I don't know, but that's, I mean, I feel like that kind of culture. There's people that are comfortable everywhere. There's a lot of people that aren't comfortable everywhere. So if you can make someone like they can be slightly minutely uncomfortable for a second, that's fine, I think, probably.
It's your way of redressing the balance in society.
It's fine. But yeah, we sort of just do what we like doing, and we just find things that we enjoy. And I think over the years, we've really started connecting with local producers and trying to find stuff that's grown down this way, and integrate other people doing interesting things into our products. And that kind of has worked really well as well. So
was there much else in Koroit itself in terms of where people could go for a feed or for a drink?
Well, there's the two pubs. Like you got the Irish pub on the corner, Mickey Burke's, and then the commercial down the end. And they're well established. I think there was more pubs than that. There would have been probably 6 pubs in Koroit at one point. I don't know.
In a country Irish town in Australia.
I know about 2 or 3 others that are not around anymore. Yeah. So I'm sure there was more. Yeah. And there was, I think it was down here was one of the only areas that had prohibition. And there was a lot of bootleggers and clandestine stills, and I think there was even one next door, back through the prohibition era.
Yeah. And how did you go with the pubs when you opened here? Did they see you as competition, or did they see you as different enough not to worry about it?
I think there was that feeling, to be honest. I think even across the whole community, there was a little bit of what is this and what are they trying to do? But I'd say the majority of that feeling is dissolved. And I feel like, we provide a space for the community to use and to be in. And we have so many community focused events that are run out of this place. And I feel like that just, people can't deny it. If you're there showing up for your community, they're going to turn up for you as well. So you just sort of, you just hang around long enough and,
be good citizens.
Yeah.
Marie will be along with a little note for you.
Yeah, it's one of those small country. I mean, I'm originally from a little country town, West Coast, South Australia, Tumby Bay way. And it's similar there, unless you're a couple of generations in, you're not a local kind of thing. But, most of that goes away if you hang around and you just end up showing up for people.
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you feel it held you back a little bit? You know, Sam's been imported into town, you've come later.
Yeah.
Felt like you have deep roots here.
Yeah, I mean, potentially slightly, but I feel like Koroit as well, it's one of those towns that's growing. There's lots of young families moving in. There's stuff happening. I feel like there's, you know, it's not a real big issue for us. Yeah.
And have you done anything in particular to win over the locals? I guess tourists are going to pass through, or they're not. I'm guessing you're getting support from the local tourism board, but did you sort of go, is it events, or is it certain beers, like, you know, to...
Yeah, well, I feel like the biggest thing that we've learnt that has won over the locals is running events, and that the events are focused towards what they want and need, and often providing something slightly different that they wouldn't be able to find in other venues as well. So I think that's really worked. Sam and I's wives have been in charge of events and the marketing for the last year. They're both stepping away at the moment because B's got a new job and Claire's about to have another baby, so number 3 for me, so good luck. We're getting some other people in the business to take over that, but they've done a great job over the last year at driving people into the venue.
And when you talk about events, we're not talking beer events here, are we?
No, not really, no. So we have, like, what do we have? We had a fashion parade for the local op shop, so that's the charity op shop, the cancer charity op shop. We had Emma Stenthouse. She's a great Indigenous artist, and she did a women's weaving workshop. We had some local bands, disgruntled civil servants, so that was a bit like a punk gig kind of thing. You know, like, not every member of the community is going to like every single event, but we kind of do, you know, like, from a punk gig to a op shop fashion, like, you know, it's a big contrast.
Yeah.
But you know, you kind of have to provide something for everyone, and I feel like we do that with our products as well. You kind of cover your bases, but also do things that you're passionate and you enjoy as well, or other people are passionate in too.
Yeah, I think we'll come back and talk about the products a bit more after the break. But in terms of, did you have a vision for, like, this is what we want to do and this is what we think we're going to have to do to be successful where we are? And has that stayed the same, or has the direction or the ethos of the brewery evolved over the 5+ years you've been going?
Yeah, I think going in, it kind of like was a bit of a whirlwind. We were open for 3 months and then shut, and everyone knows what happened there. And then we went through all that, you know, subsequent trouble over those 2 years. So 2 out of the 5 years we were significantly stilted. And then the 3 years after that, we've just been finding our feet. And then I feel like probably only in the last year or so, we've really started to figure out what works for our venue. You know, how we can be that tourist draw card and also be there as a venue for the locals, because they're gonna keep you open the whole year. Whereas, you know, over summer, no worries. But through winter, you know, that's not gonna keep you going. And also external sales are starting to pick up a bit more. But even just driving that local external sales as well, not trying to push too wide and far. And
I was going to say, I mean, have you had success penetrating into all the local towns and, well, I guess the cities nearest by? Are you getting a bit of acceptance there? I know you do beers for a couple of, you know, pretty key venues around here.
Yeah, I think we're starting to get there. We've never really focused on sales. We've let them come to us. So we've kind of like been a product-led sales approach, whereas we hope we're doing a good enough job that people are coming to us to buy our stuff. But now we're starting to push a bit more, like get on the ground a bit more. We literally just didn't have the time to do sales or the money to employ anyone to do it. But yeah, we're starting to get there now. And I think we're starting to get some, like, we got our first pub venue in Warrnambool pouring on tap maybe like a month ago.
So it's taken a long time.
It's taking a long time. Lots of great bars and restaurants and people championing our products, but, like, you know, those traditional venues like pubs, it's been hard to crack into. Yeah.
And that pub you've got into, does it have other craft beer on as well, or are they going?
Yeah.
We'll give you guys a go because you're local, or
They have had other craft beer on it before, yeah. But it's great to at least get one in Warrnambool now, and yeah, hopefully we can keep pushing along in that direction. Not that I want to take over every pub, but it's you know, I think we'd like to be in a lot more local venues, you know, and you know, start pushing a little bit, but we don't really want to take over the world. I don't think that's going to be our intention. We kind of want to stick to what we like doing and not grow just for the sake of growth, I guess.
Fantastic. Well, we'll take a quick break and we'll be right back after this. Cheers.
Cool. Cheers.
G'day guys, Craig here, and I'm thrilled to be joined by Anne Gigney, who is the co-founder and director of the Distillers Institute in Tasmania, and also the director of the Tasmania Whisky Academy. Have I got that right, Anne?
Yeah, that is right, my friend.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us. You're also on the committee, this is what we're talking about, of IBD 2025, a biannual conference, the must-attend conference for anyone in brewing and distilling. This year held in March in the home of whiskey, Hobart in Tasmania. And maybe let's start there. Like, I think the event was last held in Adelaide 2 years ago, now coming, of course, to Hobart. What's been the impetus behind that?
Yeah, so happy days coming to Tasmania where you can get your hands in the earth and see where, I guess, the home of, let's call it the traditional home of whiskey is. Yes, certainly. I'd been on the board of the IBD for a couple of years, and they were talking about the next location for the convention, and I was going, let's pick Tassie, let's pick Tassie, let's pick Tassie, and thankfully, we were able to make that come to life. And for me, that's kind of exciting because what it means is we not only get to talk about brewing because everybody loves a beer, but we also again get to talk about Tasmania and our spirits down here. So lots of people kind of worked to make that happen, and it's certainly very exciting to be in Tassie.
Yeah, fantastic. And I understand, so it's the 3rd to the 7th of March. It's pretty much a week in Tassie. You've got a full conference program, but just sticking with the local distilleries as well, will there be opportunities for visitors to, I guess, go out and see the breadth and depth of the local industry?
Well, certainly during the event itself, you've got your pre and post event tours. They're heading out to Green Banks Distillery and to um, the Lark Distillery. So this is the Lark Distillery now at the Sheen Estate out at Pontville. Both astounding distilleries. So Green Banks is a newer brand. It's going to be one of the biggest whiskey producers around soon, if it's not there already. And the Lark Distillery, of course, everybody knows the Lark story and the amazing Bill Lark contribution to that. So, look, both of them are going to be amazing. Certainly the tours themselves. Yeah. And then during the week, we have 2 complete days, the Wednesday and the Thursday of the event, which have got distilling streams and speakers from, I guess, from all over and from a range of different backgrounds for that.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about some of those speakers. So if I'm a distiller, and I understand people do come to this event from all over the world, what would they expect? What are they looking forward to? What would be your top picks for who they should be listening out for?
That is an impossible one to answer. I can tell you who a couple of the ones that I guess at forefront of my mind. One of the great things about the convention is that we get people from industry who have done really cool things, speaking about the technical experiences or the technical knowledge that they have. So we are having some folks out from Starwood talking about some of their work, and I think with a focus on sustainability and supply chain. Guys from Four Pillars, I think, also talking about their experience in that same space, and a fellow from the rum industry talking about, I guess, some of the technical aspects of rum
Mm.
production. So there's quite a lot there for everything. Sorry, for everybody. Um, the other,
Does it go beyond the technical as well? I mean, if
mm,
you're a marketer, or if you're in the kind of I guess the softer sides of the business, like, are you going to find content that will be helpful there as well?
yeah, definitely. One of the presentations is on the premiumization of product.
Hmm.
So really, what does that market look like as compared to a market where you're just selling on price? Is there an opportunity in premiumization, that kind of thing? So that'll be interesting to listen to. I think the other thing is we are going out to a couple of technical tours to distilleries as well. So this is a new component um, to the convention compared to what we've done in the past. That is on Wednesday afternoon, and there will be 2 or 3 distilleries that we go out to. The two we've locked in is Maguire and Co, which is going to be. Um, I think Patrick has literally turned on the lights this week, so uh, that will be looking at a scale distillery, very big location. The other one is Sullivan's Cove, of course, which Patrick had something to do with in the past as well. So we're going out to Sullivan's Cove to have a look at their operation, and they'll be talking about how they've been able to scale their distillery from something which is smaller and boutique to now being
Mm.
a much bigger production.
Yeah, wonderful. And Anne, just to bring it on home, so we've got the IBD 2025 registrations available now at www.ibd2025.com.au. What's the final call for every distiller out there, or anyone interested in the distilling industry? Why should they hop on a plane, get down to Hobart, and experience this amazing event?
Oh, well, I can think of so many reasons. I mean, I haven't talked about what the vibe is like at the convention. So if you've not been to the IBD convention before, there's quite a number of social functions.
Mm,
The Tuesday night's fiesta is just going to be nuts bag. It's going to be so fun. There's going to be all sorts of stuff going on. There's an opportunity, certainly, for distillers to do pours at various stages over the few days. Um, the other thing is distillers and brewers are like, either best mates or brothers with another mother kind of deal. I think that there is this wonderful opportunity to see what the brewers are doing and see what the distillers are doing and see whether guys can actually do either some cool stuff together or learn from each
mm,
other. So I don't think there's quite enough of that going on. So Tassie's going to be awesome. March
yep.
is the perfect time of year to get down here. And I mean, we've got so many great brewers, so many great distillers. The vibe of the actual convention is awesome. So really, you got to be here. It's actually going to be really awesome fun.
Wonderful. You can't miss it. Well, Anne, thank you so much for that little preview. I think the Crafty Pint team will be down there reporting from the convention, which will be very exciting.
Good.
And we look forward to seeing brewers, distillers, anyone who's interested in Hobart come along to the event. Thank you so much, Anne.
Oh, thank you so much. I look forward to having a whiskey maybe or something like that with you.
Absolutely. Cheers, Anne.
Thank you. Bye bye.
And we're back. Alex, you touched on it before, but you talked about working at Holgate. Do you want to tell us how you got into brewing?
Yeah. Well, I sort of got into brewing I started distilling first, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a industrial electrician, working on working on automation stuff, and just wanted to build a little automated, still set up. And then I kind of wanted to make whiskey, so I'm like, I've got to figure out how to brew beer, and then got into all grain brewing, and then sort of took it from there and did the course at Regency Park TAFE. They had a little IDB prep course with Stephen Nelson.
His name's been coming up a lot.
Yeah,
in
a lot
recent
from
shows.
SA probably.
Yeah.
A lot of people went through his course there. So a lot of the people from the group that I went to, I think Tom from Mismatch, and who else is there? Tony from Suburban and stuff were all in my group.
Yeah.
So a few have gone on to do some things.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. So Chris Brady from Holgate. His some of his friends, or my sister-in-law, are sort of friends with him, and my brother-in-law. So I was wanting a job brewing and wanted to quit my real job and join the circus and, go from earning good money to not so good money, but, doing what I love doing. So, yeah, Chris managed to get me an interview with Paul, and the rest was kind of history. I sort of started there, and I worked there for 3 and a bit years, almost 4 years. And great place to learn how to brew.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of brewers that have been through there to go on and do amazing things, and even what Holgate's done over the past 20 years, I think, in terms of the quality of beers that they put out, it's pretty solid brewery, in my opinion.
And was that during the big growth phase, like before they put the German brew house in, when you were still really working a smaller kit, or was it?
I started when the smaller kit was there, and then when the BrauCon was coming, having my industrial electrician background, Paul was keen to get me trained up and sort all that out. So I went over to Germany with Chris to get all that sorted. And then
Paul actually sent his junior brewer away with his head brewer.
Yeah. And I was going to do all the install, and I did help out with the install. But then, so Claire got a job down here as a dietitian, and so we sort of made the move down here probably only a few months after that. So I was actually commuting back because I felt kind of terrible for going to Germany and then leaving. So I was driving back and helping commission and install a lot of the automation wiring stuff for Paul. Trying to pay my dues there, I guess. But yeah, I still love Holgate. And
was that quite an inspiring trip to Germany? So I'm thinking now the tap lineup while we're sat here, you've got a dark lager, Heller's, Hefeweizen.
Yeah, well, I think it sort of I went from probably not respecting traditional styles as much as I did to really changing my mind just from that one trip. To be honest, it opened my eyes, up to those traditional styles and how great they can be. I think that probably did help, and also spending it with someone like Chris, who he knows, he loves his traditional styles as well, and knows them well. So it's good to hang out and talk beer and drink Heller's lager on the river of a small Bavarian town while we're eating some delicious I don't know what it was, fried fish, I think it was.
I think it'd be pork of some sort.
Yeah, no, pork knuckle. We did try a bit of that, but it was a good little trip.
Yeah,
but yeah.
And in terms of with Sam coming, I know you said you'd brewed at home with Sam.
Yeah.
So was it his first commercial experience under you here?
Yes, yeah.
I shouldn't say under as business partners, but
well, it is an interesting dynamic because it was it's been one we've had to figure out over the years because we're equal business partners, but he's kind of I've sort of trained him up in there, I guess. And Sam's he's a great brewer in his own right now and can handle his own in there, it's one of those things that takes a long time to really get to the ins and outs of brewing. So there's always something to learn. Yeah.
And in terms of the booze you produce, obviously brewery from the start, but it wasn't too long before you sort of branched into spirits with gin. But now there's a whole bunch of other spirits and liqueurs on the lineup, and I guess even just the flavors you like to play with as well.
Yeah. Well, we originally opened with the intention of being a brewery and distillery at the same time.
Yeah.
But obviously, the still was still getting commissioned, and then a Corona hit.
Yeah.
And then we ended up making hand sanitizer instead of gin, which I think a lot of people did. And I just recouped all our costs on all that, all the investment of all the products to make that.
Yeah.
Even though we were selling it at exorbitant prices, like I've still got some stuff out the back that we haven't used. And anyway, but yeah, we've gone on to make gin. We've got 3 different types of gin now. We use a lot of local botanicals. We get some stuff out of the Crater in Tower Hill and a few forage things around. and then some great liqueurs as well. So we've got a wattle seed and coffee liqueur, Australian native citrus liqueur, which is almost like a native limoncello.
And what sort of ingredients are in there? What's
And it's got finger lime, blood lime, and desert lime. And it tastes like a limoncello, but nothing like a limoncello. It's kind of...
I feel like we might have to get something to take away with us.
It's kind of pretty special. And then we've got a strawberry liqueur, which we get like the best strawberries you'll ever eat. So you're going out that way, up the coast. So there's Volcano Produce, and they have the best strawberries you'll ever taste. But they get seconds and thirds strawberries they can't sell, and we use a lot of them here. So I'm trying to figure out what else to do with them, because he's getting like a couple of 100 kilos every 2 weeks. So I'm like, I don't know what to do.
I did say to Will on the way here, Alex is going to tell you about the best strawberries in the world at some point.
They are, yeah. My wife brought home a punnet yesterday, and put them on the table in the lounge room, and gave them to my daughter and I turned around to do something else. I turned back and she's eaten all of them. They're gone. And she normally leaves the tops, the white bit.
Eating the whole thing.
There's no white bit on these. They're the whole way, like super juicy red strawberries. It's just the volcanic soil, so it's pretty special. Yeah.
So I know when I saw you recently, you had a first batch of a potato vodka or pochine that you'd made.
Yep.
I guess it's an Irish area. Do you want to tell us how that came about?
Yeah, so we actually get the potatoes from a local potato farmer, Johan. He grows them around the corner from the brewery. He gets about half a ton or a box of potatoes a season that are kind of unsaleable, or literally will go to rot in the paddock. And we thought, why not turn them into vodka? And it's not the most straightforward process. Like, first time we put it through our brew house, I gummed up a heap of mashed. Oh, it was terrible. Yeah. It was
literally mashed potato.
Mashed potato. But just the skins and stuff were a big issue, and it caused havoc. But we've tweaked how we've done it, and this year was a lot easier. I've got a potato peeler now, like a commercial one.
So you'd already done a batch previous year, had you?
Yeah. Oh no, this is the first batch that you tried the other day. But yeah, it's really special. It's come out really nice.
Aromatic, like more aromatics than you might expect from a straight vodka.
Yeah, so it's not completely neutral. It has a bit of flavour. It's still really nice and sweet and easy to drink, but it's almost if you have it on ice and sip it instead of a shot, it's pretty special stuff. So it's just a hard thing to try and explain to people that this is a vodka that you're not just wanting to cover up or dispose
cover
of.
In Sprite, or something like that.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a harder sell in terms, but the story and how it presents as well in the bottle, I think all kind of works together. So yeah.
What about the native ingredients? Like, you talked about that and foraging and all of it. Where did that come from?
We've worked directly with Wollongong Dig. They're in like a indigenous corporation that works out of Warrnambool. They've got a little plant nursery, so they propagate thousands and thousands of native plants a year and sell them commercially, and they also sell native botanicals. And then we've worked directly with them and source some stuff that grows around our area, and it's been great to get some knowledge off of them about what grows around us and what would work. So they just bring in stuff, and we've even been out and had a forage around and found some stuff as well. Yeah. So it's been pretty fun to learn about all the stuff that grows around us that we can use.
Yeah. And do you go wild foraging for stuff as well for some of the products?
Yeah, I do. Yep. Oh, no.
Okay,
Parks
we'll
Vic, no.
Is none of it supposed to go in?
No, apparently not. Like
Okay.
Australia's foraging laws are really backwards.
Okay,
let's cut all
You
this.
could really,
Yeah.
you could really chuck it all in. Nah, it's fine.
So
No one
the peat
cares.
then? So
No one
the
cares.
peat thing. I thought the peat was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't done that,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just thought about
Yeah,
using.
I might throw you a question. I mean,
Yeah,
when we were chatting not long ago, you were talking about there's some local peat.
yeah,
Some peat local to the area. You want to play with that. I mean, it sounds to me like whatever you learn and that is around here, your mind starts whirring, going, "Oh, we could use that with that and create this thing." And it's I
Yeah.
guess all about new flavors, but maybe celebrating the region as well.
yeah. I try and find. Both Sam and I try and find connections with a lot of different local producers, and if we hear of something happening here or there, or usually it will lead to us, experimenting
Making
with
booze.
Yeah. Can we put it in something? And sometimes it's like we just can't find spots for some of it because I'm like, well, there's a truffle farmer now down the road, and I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to use that. But we might use it in the kitchen, or we might do something else. But even like we're using a lot of wattle seed at the moment, and there's a local wattle seed farmer started up like last year, and she came in with all this wattle seed, and so there's people that just rock up with, they've either got. We even get messages all the time just from locals of like, I've got all this produce. Do you want it for something? And I'm like, sure. We get like 150 kilos of rhubarb just from the local community every year for a rhubarb beer.
Is that good, or sort of becomes a handful at some point?
It's a pain in the bum. I hate doing it every year. And
At least you can make some stews.
Sam's always really keen to do the rhubarb beer, and then he'll help for like half of the prep, and then the rest of it he somehow just disappears. He'll probably deny that, but it felt like that the last 2 years where I'm just forever processing this rhubarb, and I'm swearing to never do it again. But
And he's one of your local producers as well. Is that right? He's been growing stuff on his farm.
Yeah,
or has he
yeah.
been using?
Yeah, so Sam's we're hoping to really push that forward over the next few years, and bring that into our business a bit more, because Sam's got a great little bit of property down the road, and he's got a sort of horticulture background as well. So yeah, we've grown hops, so we do the fresh hop beer every year with hops from his farm. He's also got a heap of berries and some native stuff growing down there as well. So yeah, there's lots of stuff we're keen to play around with. I think native juniper we're getting going again soon. So the Boobiella, so Boobiella's like a native juniper plant.
Do you use that in your gins already, or is that
something we're working on now?
Okay.
Yeah. And then local Indigenous artist Emma Stenthouse has done like some amazing stuff recently. I think she's done a lot of sort of higher profile artworks recently for Jaco, or like some really big some netball team or something, I don't know, but anyway, she's keen to help us out with a little label for that one. So we're looking forward to just trying to find those connections with people. Even Ben from the Volcano, who's doing the strawberry stuff, I'm going to try and get him to grow some sugar beets for us to turn into some rum. So, there's lots of ideas. Whether they happen, I don't know. I'm not sure. We'll get to what we can get to. With 3 kids, I might be a bit tied up doing other things. We'll see.
And in terms of connections, I know you like to be present at a number of events, but also you work on the farmers markets. Like, how significant is that for you as a business, or is it just for fun? Is it to reach new people?
Yeah, I think the markets are important for us, especially over summer. Great way to drive tourists up to the venue. And also, you just do meet a lot of the local producers down there and come up with ideas and get connections with other, booze producers as well. Sort of does help that connection with other people doing interesting things. Yeah.
And I guess then there's the bigger festivals as well. I know Sam's not here today because he's been over doing the beer festival in Melbourne.
Yep.
But you guys, you'll travel to those. You'll do stuff over in SA. And I know I have to ask about the Doof tent.
Yeah, the Doof Dome, yeah.
The Doof Dome, sorry.
yeah.
Doof Dome, get it right. It's made an appearance at a few festivals. What's the story there?
My brother's sort of into like techno, and he's a pretty handy DJ. And we were driving up to the farm tour for HPA. Would have been 2 years ago, and Sam and I just too many hours in the car with a heap of hops, and we're like, if we get this giant igloo tent and then put in techno and DJs and strobe lights, and we'll have a Doof Dome. Anyway, we actually did it because we don't like money. It didn't cost that much, but it was probably a bit excessive for an.
So was that just the one you did? Was it beer and barbecue?
Yeah,
it hasn't been back then.
I did use it for the Mount Gambier beer and barbecue because it was like 40+ degrees. So I ended up getting one of those spray rings.
Oh yeah.
And so I just took the tent and had a misting ring in there, so people were just sitting in there and getting no techno, just misting, yeah.
Just a quiet place.
Yeah.
And do you think it's important to sort of, I guess, make that noise and excitement? You do have a presence in Melbourne and bottle shops and things like that. Do you think it's a good way to really cut through?
Yeah.
People further afield?
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, we're kind of like, we are sort of down out the way and often do our own thing and don't make a lot of noise about a lot of stuff that we do. But then every now and then it's nice to sort of pop your head up and go, hey, we're over here. Look at us every now and then. And I think, being a regional venue and brewery, distillery sort of out the way, you can kind of get, lost in the crowd. But I think what we're trying to do is just do what we love doing. And then we do like being a bit rowdy here and there and making a scene. So if people can take notice of us every now and then, we'll sort of figure out ways to do that. So I think that's I think it's one of those things. We don't want to just be down here by ourselves and not have anyone else involved. Like, we want other people to look at what we're doing and go, oh, that looks cool. I think over the years I've sort of realized a bit more happy to sort of run our own race. I think we're both pretty happy to do what we do, and I think that's probably always been the case a little bit of just doing what we love doing, and people kind of go, oh, that's cool, I like that, so if you can just do what you like doing and other people take notice, then I think that's kind of cool.
Talk about running your own race. Do you think there's room for more breweries in this wider area, because there's still not much around, or you're happy to have this as your area?
I'm not opposed to other breweries joining. I mean, there's Middle Islands in Warrnambool. They're contract brewing at the moment. I'm not sure what their plans are. We get along great with them, and anyone else coming into the fold, it probably would help the area more than hinder it. And I think we've definitely got some good foundations now. Like, we've laid down a fair bit of time and effort, and I think the community is behind us. And looking at other areas, like, I think if you're putting out quality, the breweries that are doing the quality and really it doesn't matter if you get a million competitors, if you're, and also sometimes it's nice to have a few friends around, someone else to talk about beer with. I don't know, like, it'd be good.
Melbourne breweries, when they run out of an ingredient, they can sort of pop down the road and sort it out. You're in a bit of trouble here.
Exactly. I have to figure it out. There's no friends.
Cool. Well, we might finish off, and we like to ask a few questions to cap off the episode. If there was one thing you could go back in time and tell yourself when you started Noodle Doof, what would it be?
Don't do it. No.
That's a surprisingly common first answer, I think.
I'm sure it is. Well, it's really bloody hard. Running a business and
especially the 5 years that you've come into it.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing.
I think the only way is up.
Yeah, I think the advice, I don't know. I think it would be just don't get bogged down in the stuff that's hard, and really just focus on the good stuff, and it's going to be hard for a few years, and you just get through it, and
maybe pause every now and then, look at it and go, wow, look at what we've achieved.
Yeah, because you do forget to look at what you've done, and I think I do that a lot. It's all too hard, and then you realise that there's a million people in the community that, you know, just would hate to see the place not be around, and also, you know, a lot of people have a lot of good experiences here, and also even just they enjoy trying our beers or spirits or whatever. Yeah. So, you know, you gotta look externally. It's hard to look at yourself and give yourself praise. So
if the mics have picked up any background noise, it's because while we've been recording this, very different groups of people have walked in, like very different age groups, families of different ages and all that kind of thing, which I think really cuts across that.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty representative of what we are. Like, we get all different types of people in here. There's no one demographic, you know, like, and I think that's the thing with regional venues. You have to cater for a wider audience. Like, if you're in the city, you can go, all right, we're just going to be a craft beer venue that looks after craft beer people. It just doesn't fly in the regional area. So if you're going to do something like start a craft brewery, like, look at what people want and try and give people what they want, but also do what you really love as well. Otherwise, you're not gonna keep doing it.
I feel like he's answered the present question for the advice for other people already.
Yeah, I remembered that question from reading it before, and I realised I just started answering. Yeah, no,
before perfect. Yeah. So just
premonition, I'll say.
So if you're starting a regional brewery, just be aware of the wider picture.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest piece of advice. Yeah. I'm actually, you know, telepathic. I was reading the question off the screen there. Yeah.
And do you have any hope or grand vision or dream for craft beer in the future?
I think Australia's like starting to. I mean, as much as we've had this sort of, like, it's been a tumultuous. I'm not very good at pronunciation. Year for craft beer. A couple of years probably. I feel like there's going to be this, like, finding of our feet as an industry, and I feel like just the quality of, you know, products and just finding a little bit of identity there. I think there is an identity already, but I feel like it's in the past it's just been focused on what America's doing, to be honest. And I feel like we can be a lot more than that. We can actually try and come up with some. I mean, there's probably no original ideas in craft beer, but you never know. We could just kind of focus on what we do and do it well, and start looking at each other for inspiration instead of looking abroad. And anyway, I don't know. I don't know if that answered the question, but sure.
It certainly does.
No, that's great. Well, thank you so much. I know it's your wife's birthday today, and she's, you know, heavily pregnant with your third child. So I appreciate you making.
I think I've missed her birthday party, but anyway,
At least you took her to yoga.
Yeah, I took her to yoga this morning. It's fine.
All right, Alex, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks. Cheers.
Shout out to brewers, distillers, and beverage industry professionals. Don't be the one who misses out on one of the year's biggest industry events, IBD 2025. It's the 38th biennial convention run by the Chartered Institute of Brewers and Distillers, and it's taking over Australia's distillery capital, Hobart, from the 3rd to the 7th of March. Over the course of this convention, you'll be immersed in the latest trends, knowledge, technical expertise, presented by expert speakers from around the world. There's going to be plenty of social opportunities too, including the chance to experience the Tasmanian hop harvest while it's happening, as well as visits to leading local distilleries. IBD 2025, it's the perfect opportunity to connect face-to-face with old friends and colleagues and create new friendships among members of our brewing and distilling community, also while building your own knowledge and expertise. Registrations are open now at ibd2025.com.au.
The Crafty Pint podcast is produced and edited by Matt Hoffman. You can get all your beer-related news and reviews on the Crafty Pint website, craftypint.com, and can stay up to date on future podcast episodes via our socials.
We wouldn't be able to produce the podcast or the website, events or festivals we run without the support of the beer industry, whether that's suppliers, bars, breweries or bottle shops. If you'd like to support the show or partner with the Crafty Pint in other ways, please reach out to Craig via the details in the show notes.
And if you're a beer lover who'd like to support what we do, you can join our exclusive club for beer lovers, the Crafty Cabal. Visit craftykabal.com for more.
And until next time, drink good beer.